Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm doing a prosade tutorial.
First I go in with a baby wipe covered in IPA 99% to lift all the skin oils. This will allow the prosade to stick to the skin. I use liquid prosade and a plastic spatula. I go in with a slightish amount of prosade to coat the hairs on the spatula, and I just start working it in slowly. This initial layer is just to stick the hairs to the actual skin, not to make a smooth brow. Once cleaned up, I go in with my metal brow comb, and I just start flattening the hairs against the skin. This is the most important step of the whole brow block, making sure the hairs are completely flattened. I rub the brow comb against it just to get all the hairs as flat as I can laid, pressed against the skin so they won't move. If this step is done incorrectly, you won't have a nice clean brow block. So make sure all the hairs are completely stuck. Then I go in and I start cleaning up the excess. Then I flatten it out a final time with the brow spatula, making sure the hairs are completely pressed right into the skin. With a slight bit of prosade on it just so it can glide. Now to set the brow, I use RCMA powder and a disposable triangle sponge. Dab lightly just to coat the hairs so they won't stick to the sponge. And then once I have it completely covered, I completely press as hard as I can just to really fix in the hair so they won't move whatsoever. The hard pressing makes sure that all the prosade is set and it won't leak through, because prosade can time to time leak through if it's not completely pressed out. Again, minor cleanup, make sure the edges are clean, and then I just repowder that bit a little bit more. Once that's fully set and dry, we build a new layer using a larger amount of prosade. This is going to form the new flat surface and fill in all the gaps. As you can see, I'm dabbing, and that's to activate it and keep all of it in place. And the more I dab, the harder it's going to get until it starts to solidify. Then I can smooth it out. So just keep dabbing like this, keeping it on the hairs, not going too far away from it or else it'll get messy and chunky. Now the prosade's activated enough, I can start gliding it out and filling in all those gaps right to the edge. With that done, I just start cleaning up the edges, again with the baby wipe. And my baby wipes always have a little bit of IPA on it just to lift the prosade, because if it didn't, it wouldn't dissolve any. Then I use my wet finger and I just really smooth out the edges so that there's no texture at all, because then we'll have a messy brow block. Then I use a hairdryer just to completely dry it out, or else our prosade can leak through. Once I'm happy it's dry enough, I check it with my finger, and if it is, I start again lightly powdering, just so the sponge doesn't get stuck at first. And then once I have it lightly powdered, I can start pressing it out, again making sure the prosade is completely set. Now I'm moving on to the final layer, and if you didn't get an initial good kind of flat layer, you can just build as many layers as you need. I'm just repeating the last build step, tapping and activating the liquid prosade, and then I'm just gonna start rubbing it out again, smoothing it out, making sure all the texture is gone. Again, just really smoothing it out, trying to get zero texture in there, and cleaning up the edges once more. Once that's done, I just do that final little smoothing, make sure everything's completely smooth, and go dry it. And finally I set that last layer with the powder, and I repeat on the other side. That I'm happy if both sides set, I can start priming my face for foundation. It doesn't really matter if you prime the brow block or not, I just do it sometimes. For foundation over a brow block, I always use a Kryolan TV paint stick. They've high pigment and high buildability, which means I don't get as much texture showing through, and it also means I don't have to color correct below. If I was using any other foundation, a liquid foundation, I would have to color correct first with an orange coat to block out the black hair color showing through from beneath. And I was just messing around for this video, so I just did a full face of white, and then I was just practicing, so I was going to do kind of a fine china look, but I didn't really like it, so I gave up. And I just doodled a lot. The brows came out great, but yeah, I did continue to mess about, and that was the end result. Anyways, I hope you liked the brow tutorial. That's all from me. Bye guys.